Sister Malak asked us a question. I'm going to give you some feedback at all to what the question she meant in this question, what she really meant. She was saying that in America, many people live, many Muslims go and live there, and they decide to live in the United States, Sheikh. And while living there, what happens, they see their children going to these schools and losing their deen, losing their faith, she was saying.
No.
This is her experience from people she knows and people she spoke to. Thus, she was saying, is it allowed to, is it haram for you to live in the United States of America?
Well, let me phrase it this way, to give a general answer, because I don't want to speak about a specific country. Sometimes it's not permissible for you to live in a Muslim country where in this specific country you cannot perform the ibadat freely, and you cannot raise your kids properly, nor can you teach them the deen. So in this case, hijrah or migration is prescribed. So whether it's a Muslim country or a non-Muslim country, wherever you can perform the basics of your deen freely, wherever you can hang around good Muslims, wherever you can raise your kids properly, then it is permissible to live. I understand that the view of it's not permissible to live amongst the non-Muslims in case that's affecting your deen. So now I'm going to extend the answer to that: if the schooling system is corrupt and you're not able to give your children a proper Islamic education, then you start working hard to look for a good environment, whether here or there. I want to be realistic, because it's easy to say, you gotta immigrate to a Muslim country where there is the Khilafah, where there is the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah, etc. But it is not that easy. Number one, to find such a society. Number two, even if it exists, let me say that if I'm an American and I want to live in Saudi Arabia, and I want to raise my kids in Medina, the city of the Prophet ﷺ, or in Mecca, is it that easy? Can I just decide to move on and bring all my family and say I'm going to reside here? Obviously not. There are some logistics and visas and residency. It's a very complicated process. So if you think that wheresoever you are, you're not able to preserve your deen, to keep your identity, Islamic identity, and you're not able to save a good environment for your children, to live in a Muslim community, to pray in the masjid, then it is prescribed to find another location, to move from the bad to what's good, not vice versa. Unfortunately, what's happening that people move from Islamic societies to non-Muslim societies, running after material. And after they collect as much as they can of material, they only realize after decades that they have lost whom they have collected the material for. Yes, they may have the house by then, the American dream. They may have the SUV. They may have this and this and that. By the way, it's all lost in the stock market recently. So after achieving all of the dunya goals, what about your children? Are they going to preserve that? No, because they don't have the deen. But if you can maintain both, that's perfectly fine. I know many Muslim families in the West who manage to protect themselves, their religious practices, to preserve their identities, but there are very few, by the way. So the struggle is much greater, of course, if you're living amongst non-Muslims. But the determining factor is, where are you right now? Are you surrounded with Muslims in a Muslim community where there is an Islamic center? Available activities, not just for offering the prayers and making khatma and finishing reading the Quran so we can make a Bismillah party, then Ameen party and celebrate that. No, the deen is much deeper than that. The deen is your daily practices. How do you deal with people? Not only how do you deal with Allah. How do you deal in public? Not only in private. So if you can maintain the religious commitment in any society, then nowadays I'm saying it is permissible to stay where you are. But if you can't, then you start looking seriously for moving to another society where you assume that is going to protect your children.
And while you're planning to move to that society, what should your attitude be? Because many people do email and say, well, you know, I've been waiting for 5 years to leave the society, I'm meant to move to a better society, but they haven't progressed in those 5 years. They're still in the same situation.
Unfortunately, also some people make immature decisions. They hear a sheikh here or there, or maybe they will tune in to this program right now, and they will hear half of the message. And they say, this sheikh who looks very pious maybe, said that it's haram to live in this society, you gotta leave. So they pack up and they leave. To where? Do not be surprised. I got some people phoning me from the airport, said, Sheikh, we've moved. To where? And we don't have any place to stay in. And who's going to accommodate you? Who's going to host you? They don't have any financial support. They have no plans. This is immature. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said even on a battlefield, وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. We are an organized and disciplined ummah. We have to prepare for everything in advance and ahead of time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say you must accomplish your goal. Rather He said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. And He also said, وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Prepare as much as you can. Show you're sincere in your intention. أصدق الله يصدق. Fear Allah and keep your duty to Allah as much as you can. But what if you fail? In the story of the person who murdered 100 people. And then when he was directed to a scholar and he asked him about the way of tawbah, and he gave him the glad tidings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the forgiving, the most merciful, he advised him that you have to move from the society which helped you to achieve sins and commit bad deeds and evil deeds to a good society, to a good neighborhood. He started moving. He died on the way. He was rewarded according to his intention, even though he did not accomplish his goal of moving to the new society. But he was dealt with according to his intention, according to the effort, the serious steps that he has taken in order to accomplish his goal.